Hello and welcome back, citizens of Swordland. I hope you're going to enjoy this part today and enjoyed our part one. Thank you for joining me as we make some decisions that are probably going to impact us to limits we do not even understand yet. I hope you enjoy this journey and let's stick together. Thanks for being here. Enjoy. Hello and welcome back to Suzerain. Your president greets you again. Oh, it's so much fun we were having the other day. It's so silly. What's this? Ludish Freedom Front under new leadership. Security forces gathered intel grounding a hidden meeting among local leaders at Separatist BFF. Here's a brother of infamous former leader Glunan Aj. Fine. Right, now to make a decision over here. Think about this thing. Decide on how to leave the Gaston facility. I think we address the protesters and leave via car. I know everyone's saying against it, but listen, if we get killed, we get killed early. Hey, you've been doing this for so I think about speaking to them. Genuinely, I think we need to speak to the people on their level. A word of caution. Benefits are apparent due to lesser cost of treasury, larger implication for our influence. The energy sector remain murky. Still in today, risky sovereignty, innovative co-investment, boost gas up. But let's address the protesters. As we stepped out of the towering front gate of the Gaston facility, I immediately became aware of how tense the situation was. Gus Manger stood to my right, his silhouette barely indistinguishable from the monolithic edifice behind us. Serge stood to my left, his eyes scanning the crowd with the precision of a hawk. The Gaston security had drawn their weapons in anticipation, forming a bristling wall around the perimeter. My presidential guard, in stark contrast, stood tall and unflinching at the entrance, shielding us from the sea of angry workers surrounding us. The shouts of the crowd were deafening, the hostility palpable. Starlo and Horton stood at the forefront with fire in their eyes. With a deep breath, I prepared to address them. Gus extended a megaphone towards me. What are the options? My fellow swords, we are here today not as adversaries, but as collaborators. Our purpose to invest Gaston and ensure it invests in you. To the hard-working employees of Gaston, we stand with you today. Our shared goal is simple: to demand involve improved living and working conditions for everyone. And progress and the gap between us and our employees. I just want you to take a good look around you. Demand improved living and working conditions for everyone. We're not blind to your struggles. We seek to acknowledge them, address them, and above all, improve them. This is not a hollow promise, but a step towards a stronger and more balanced Swordland. Remember, we are united by a common goal, a prosperous Gaston that cares for its workers. It's a fight we must all face together. This is not a hollow promise. I think stronger and more balanced Swordland. Speeches and more speeches from President Rain. What exactly was decided today? We need more than petty words. We need substance. Right, Mr. President, we need details. What's going to change for the workers? Now, hold on a moment. President Rain is committed to bringing about real change. His actions and decisions demonstrate this clearly, even if it doesn't fit your narrative. Is that so, Manger? All we've seen are decisions that favour the likes of you and Edward Alfonso, not the common workers. That's not about narratives, Mr. Manger. It's about ensuring a fair, dignified life for the working class, something your policies have consistently failed to do. Change is often slow and gradual. Not all solutions are immediate and straightforward as you make them out to be. Just to say, a good welcome to everyone who's joining us today. Dennis, the focus here narratives and images, but on real tangible changes, process we will run on track. I send skepticism, Dennis, but I'm sure my administrators are voted to bring about better conditions for our workers. What do you really know about struggles of the working class? Change justice technology are not the solution to immediate and straightforward as you make them out to be. Real focus on narratives or images, but real tangible changes, process, and we're on the right track. Words, words, and more words, President Rain. What workers need are actions, not promises. Exactly, Dennis. The working class of Swordland is still waiting for those actions. What about the recent campaign finance bill, Mr. President? Is direct attack on democracy, effective silence in smaller parties like ours. Your neglect of a nation's healthcare system will harm millions. Mr. President, we demand that you support the upcoming workers' rights bill. The Labour force of Swordland will be watching your next moves closely. Furthermore, we want reform. Reduce the election threshold and change the constitution to make a more democratic and fairer nation. People of Swordland have elected me to lead. I believe it's crucial to trust the government's judgment in times of crisis. The Campaign Finance Bill ensures fair funding for democratically elected parties. It's not an attack on democracy to the measure to safeguard it. I understand the concerns and frustration many of you have. Rest assured, we are here, we are listening, and we are committed to addressing these issues. We once again recognise our country can't solve all its problems and want to be working hard and making progress, but our troubles won't simply vanish. President... I've seen your number 4. All the problems at once. Our troubles won't simply vanish. Quiet murmurs of discontent begin to ripple through the crowd. The workers' faces seem to turn even stonier. I can feel tension growing. The presence of our guards did little to reassure me. Suddenly, a reporter pushed through the crowd, brandishing a microphone towards me. The locals of Narble have suffered under the impact of Gasson for years. What concrete steps is Gasson going to take for the benefit of the community? Love our negotiation. Hey, how are you? Welcome into the stream. Mr. Irish Cool Dude. Now is that is Honor, isn't it? Hello, Honor. How are you? Trust Negotiation Council committed to improving the living conditions of its workers. This includes providing private housing and ensuring access to health and education. On through, this will now provide better housing, healthcare, and education for every worker. Through hard negotiation. It's Honor. Hey, cheers, bud. He'll probably refer to you as Honor. Eventually, I'll forget and refer to Cool Dude. Yeah, where it goes. But how are you, my friend? How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. And hello, Danish. So housing, healthcare, and education for every worker. Significantly better the lives of employees. Upgrading housing, assured healthcare, and opportunities for education are now guaranteed. See, Mr. Starler and Hammer's Morton, I'm on your side. You can stop whining. I know it's hard to believe, but today was a victory. I'm glad you're doing well. So what we're playing today is a game called, I was about to say Swordland. No, we're playing Suzerain, which is a political simulator set in around, I think, 1953 right now. And we've taken over a country. Today, as you can see, I'm in a suit, Honor. We are the president of a country and we're making decisions that can impact us way further down the line while keeping our country afloat. Change came over the crowd. The angry shouts were replaced with cries of disbelief, then joy. Eventually, all 4 silence are waiting for Dennis and Katerina to respond. If these promises materialise, it would mean a significant improvement in the lives of our comrades at Gasson. This is a start, albeit late. Let's hope it's not mere lip service. Private housing, healthcare and education, that indeed is a shift from the status quo, Mr. President. While I commend this commitment to improve the lives of our Gasson workers, we can only hope this is just not another political gambit. A group of figures emerged from the crowd, adorned in unmistakable scarlet attire. The Red Youth had arrived. I realised this was no longer a mere protest, it was a symbol of broader, more potent struggle. The country is called Swordland. Let me see, I think I can pause this and just quickly show you. So this is our nation. So these are like our main regions. This is our capital, Wholesword, and we're currently here. Every region has certain aspects. And then we actually have an overall map. So this is where we are with Swordland. It's looking like we're going to get invaded by the Kingdom of Rumberg, which is humongous. So we're trying to make some friends with other nations at the moment. It's like a Cold War-esque sort of thing where it's like you'll have like your East and West trying to negotiate other things. I'm going to take sunglasses off now because it's harder to see. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's quite fun. But the nation of Swordland will prosper under us. That is the aim and that is our goal, which we will give our life to achieve. So we're not, we're not Russia per se. Eins gegen I swan. I don't know what I said there. Police began resonating their, the police began reorganising their ranks, adopting defensive postures. Could you shed some light on the possible deals between the Swordish government and Gasson? What role does the Kingdom of Rizia play in this arrangement? We show of international cooperation, Swordland and Rizia will jointly invest in Gasson. We are sharing the costs and stakes of Rizia. This way, we're reducing financial pressure and fostering international relation. As the Kingdom of Rizia together, we'll provide the funding to Gasson and the workers need. Reducing financial pressure. Partnership with Rizia, you're aware of the monarch's history of stamping out disagreements with brute force. We will be watching this co-investment closely. Your government will be responsible for keeping its partners' worst tendencies in check. Oh, chess! We'll play chess another time, Danish. Don't worry. We'll play it Monday, I promise. Nearby, I guess some security officers and presidential guard members were conversing in hushed tones. Oh, is there a big storm coming tomorrow? No! Monday. I saw them glance over the crowd, but now calmer but still restless. President Rain, while the crowd appears somewhat subdued, I would advise we exercise caution. It may be best to conclude your address and proceed to the vehicle. Thank you for looking at you, Sarge. Let's get out of here. Ooh, running away from this only makes the process angrier. Monday. Let's get out of here, Sarge. We've done enough now. I remain here, Mr. President. The crowd seems calmer now, and I believe I can answer their queries and maintain the peace. You should go ahead. Mr. President, thank you for your willingness to address us. Let's continue these important conversations moving forward. You've shown courage today. We'll see if your actions match your words. Until next time. You've shown courage together. Now we will hold you accountable for your promises. The troubles of the labourers are not over, and neither is the work of our union. Shake their hands. I reached out my hand, and Katerina shook it with a smile, then us followed suit. Almost immediately, the remaining tension in the crowd dissipated. A few workers nearby broke into scattered applause. The initial hesitant clapping grew louder, and jubilant cheers and whistles filled the air. I saw the red youth members standing at the edge of the crowd with their arms folded, a hint of approval in their eyes. I readied myself to leave. I turned back to Katerina and Dennis last time. Yes, the lag along those started. I assure you both my commitment to progress and change is unwavering. Most wouldn't come out of the most fearing place of truth as a conversation. What? Most wouldn't come out because most fear facing the truth. As for conversation, it's always been going on. My job is this and that. As for accountability, isn't it what all government should be held to? You have my word. I think that one's quite good. This is marathon, not sprint. Dennis and Katerina, I look forward to continuing our conversations. Let's remember that we're here for the same reason, to better the lives of our citizens. Let's not allow differences to blind our common goals. The reporter jumped in. Can you clarify the current state of your personal relationship with... No more questions, please. Mr. President, if you could please proceed to the vehicle. Serge opened the door in the car and I lowered myself into the seat. The door closed behind me with a thud, sealing off the external noise. The crowd began to disperse, the individuals breaking away to let our convoy through. The guards took their position nonetheless, forming a human barrier around the vehicle. The engine purred to life and we began to move. I'm glad we are safely on our way, Mr. President. Serge, in this role, danger comes with territory, but your concern is appreciated. A little excitement to keep us on our toes, was it? Thank you, Serge. I don't know what I'd do without you. Serge, well done. I think that's a nice one. I'm merely doing my job, Mr. President. Ensure safety is my top priority. The echoing voices of the protesters gradually subsided as we retreated from the scene and left Narble behind. I think seeing them was the best way to go around that. Otherwise, we may have caused disagreement later. So I'm just checking something. Cool. But, no! Told you, Danish! Monday! Stop spouting it. Stability Order of 1954. The Order of Stability for organising youth organisations. Ooh. Check the news. I think we made some good one. Got some blue collar support, a win for traditional values. No, in a week. Monday, bud. Monday. Tone deaf President's address misses. Tone deaf President's address misses the mark. Like the urgent need for leadership and direction, the President addresses were notably lacking empathetic and understanding them. Yeah, it's all done today. Shut up. Beacon of Hope. Worker welfare takes a leap forward. A triumph for worker activism. Yeah. There we go. We're going to have a good time. But I hope everyone's having a great day today. And thank you for joining me. I know this is a lot of me reading, a lot of me speaking. Sorry, bud. Not today. I wanted to stream. This in particular. And I put on a suit for this. Come on. I took off a suit to put on a suit. The investigation on the influence of Young Swords and Red Youth Organisation on the post-assassination unrest has concluded. Both organisations haven't officially organised or called for illegal actions, but several low to mid-level leaders from both have linked to insightful actions that led to deaths, injuries and instability. This allows us to ban the organisations. Ban the Red Youth and the Young Swords. I think that might be best to ban both, to be honest, because they're both causing political instability. If we ban both, we can deal with both. What's everyone's opinions? Let's get opinions on this. I'll give it a minute. Do we ban... I think ban both or don't ban either. But I think ban both will be it. Well, we decide on... No, just right now, Danish. told you, bud. Nah, sorry, buddy. I can't right now. I can't, bud. All right, now, you know, I'm not going to ban either. I'm thinking we're meant to be a republic, right? If we start banning groups, we're going to hit backlash from the groups. But then, if we leave both groups, we can maybe make both groups, maybe not lovers, but they like us just enough that they're even. We're not going to ban the groups. Made the decision. Nurturing Act. Or is there anything else? They're the only places we needed. Sit back. I want to see that start going up. See some economic growth. Drafted constitutional changes. Let's have a look at this. I was walking into my office since today was the day to edit and make the final changes for the proposal to change the constitution of Swordland. Genuinely, Danish can't play right now. I'm playing this, bud. The Reform Committee finally brought tangible results and the draft of the changes were about to be presented to me. I walked into the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decisions I was going to take. At the entrance to my office, my secretary Livia greeted me. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Livia. How are you today, sir? Had to make a stressful decision, so not feeling great. It's not feeling that great. Sorry to hear. Pause before taking my coat. It looked like she had something on her mind. Mr. Roan, can you give me a hint about your reform plans? If you ask me, taking away the judge's immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of people in these halls. I'll take that into consideration. Nothing's decided yet. That's not your business. Take that into consideration. I hope you'll keep me informed. I'll take your coat now. Olivia left to hang up my coat. I entered my office and sat down. Not long after, Peter, Lucian, and Nia arrived. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. Time to finally get this proposal going. Peter placed the draft in front of me. After your modifications, we'll be starting the process. And yeah, sorry about not being able to play right now, Danish, but definitely in the future, bud. Monday. Let's start. Can we go over the points that are in discussion for the draft? I mean, let's start. We know what we're going over by this point. Placing the committee's reports and my own notes in front of me, I buried myself in the papers. Section 1. Presidential vetoes. According to Articles 77 and 82, the President may veto a bill by returning it to the Assembly with a written statement. The articles do not contain any information on how to override a veto. As a consequence, the President has an absolute veto power that cannot even be overridden with supermajority in the Grand Assembly of Swordland. Capitalism. We're removing our vetoes. Remove vetoes. According to Article 5 of the Constitution, an amendment that has the support of at least 150 signatures may be proposed. Yeah, we're going down a very capitalist route in this, but not just capitalist, but we're trying to stay as neutral as possible to every nation, but obviously we're going to upset some nations. So we're probably going a more capitalistic route, but I want to make it more like Republican in the sense of, like, everyone's welcome in this sense. So we're going to see how this goes on. I think it'll be a fun game though, where a lot of the decisions we make now won't have implications until later in the game. That's a big part. 200 go. I mean, there's only one option we have for this. According to Article 17, the President of Swordland is not responsible for the action performed in the exercise of presidential duties, except in case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. In such cases, the President may be impeached by the Supreme Court in joint session, with an absolute majority of its members. Therefore, the impeachment process can only include the Supreme Court, and it gives them the power of an executive. The Assembly and the Supreme Court may impeach with majority in both. The President may not be impeached. Do not change. The Assembly and the Supreme Court may impeach with majority in both. According to the Constitution, the President appoints the ministers and the Council of Ministers from elected members of Assembly. You may introduce a confidence vote by adding the line, the President may nominate ministers, which will require a confidence vote from the Grand National Assembly for their appointment, or include the Assembly more in the process with. The Grand National Assembly may nominate a list with ministers, which the President may appoint. Confidence vote is required. The Assembly nominates its ministers. Ugh. Uh-oh. Which route do we take? I forgot what part of this means. Confidence vote is required. Basically, you want to be Honor, best way to describe it, we want to be exactly like Switzerland with their beautiful Swiss watches. And a big welcome to everyone who's joined us. I see our viewer count has jumped up a little bit. Welcome. Confidence vote is required. Hey Aries, how are you? Welcome in, my friend. How are you doing? How are you doing? Oh, great to catch you. How are you doing, Aries? No, confidence vote is required. Makes it a bit more fair. According to the Article 50, a political party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats in the Grand National Assembly. The votes of parties who pass the threshold are redistributed proportionally, meaning USPs, which currently holds the lead, would be the main beneficiary. The increase the threshold will allow Workers' Party and Bludia and the Communist Order to be elected in the next elections. Ooh. Jeez. Thank you, thank you. President Rain is in action. Oh, I accidentally clicked off screen. Whoops. I was going to click on President Rain. President Rain in action. Similar. Matching suits. I'm feeling way better than this morning. I feel like sometimes when you're not feeling well, just throwing yourself out the door and just getting on with the day. I actually had some really good sales today. So I'm glad I went. Now, I'm not going to reduce it to 3%, but maybe to 8%. It's a sign that, hey, we're doing something. We're reducing a little bit. Hey, Workers' Party of Blondie and the Communist Party of Sultan. Now, I think it'll make them happier. I think it will make them happier because we can both turn them both to our side. Again, we're trying to create a republic here, even if we're not president for long. I'm going to reduce it to 8%. I think, what's the opinion on this? Reduce it to 8%? I'm not going to reduce to 3 or do not change. Either reduction or do not change. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? So Aries, Honor, as this is your kind of first time seeing this, we are the president of a country that's gone through terrible reforms, a civil war, massive recession, and we're trying to change those things around. Now, one of the big things that was wrong was the constitution was really messed up. So I think 8%. You know, Honor, I'm going to go with your decision here. Let's do 8%. There's a lot of reading in moments like this. Danish cat! Oh, speaking of cat. Haha. Hee hee. Hee hee. It's my first lady. She's just chill. She's a chill bean. Kitty! And this is Dingbat. When you follow me, she's what appears. Off you go, kitty. See you later, little buddy. Boop. Right. According to Articles 18 and 51, the President is able to issue decrees on political, social, and economic issues that would carry the force of law. They could not contradict the Constitution or subject to judicial review. Yeah, dingbat. Woo! Therefore, the President may issue decrees in many subjects without going through the Grand Assembly. However, the Assembly may pass legislation on the same subject to override presidential decrees. Get it back, get Dingbat back. Well, I let Dingbat roam. When she wants to go, she goes. But we'll bring her back. She'll be back. May include the Assembly in process by requiring an enabling act from the Assembly to be blah, 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 blah. Decrees require an enabling act. Therefore, the President may issue decrees in subjects without going through the National Assembly. However, the Assembly may pass legislation on subjects. We may include the Assembly in the process by requiring an enabling act from the Assembly to be able to enact decrees or remove them completely, making the Assembly the sole lawmaking authority. We'll require an enabling act, because I still want to be able to make decrees quickly, but we can put it through our court, especially since we're, you know. According to the Constitution, the President shall be elected to serve for 4 years. However, there is no mention of a term limit, allowing one individual to be able to run, be elected, and serve as President without limits. I don't want to introduce a 2-line term limit. I'm not going to change that. I think it's good, but in this game, not so much. I think you should be able to do it forever should the people believe in you. The The Constitution gives the justices of the Supreme Court absolute immunity before the law and describes no procedure of impeachment, making them untouchable by the other branches of the government. We may describe an impeachment procedure by giving the Grand National Assembly the right to propose an impeachment of justice on the legal grounds of unconstitutional behaviour. Justices may be impeached by the Assembly. Article 99 of sorry, this is a long bit. Constitution. Article 99 of the Constitution defines the Member of Honour title and the rights their members may exercise. A Member of Honour has absolute immunity and is considered to be a permanent member of the Grand National Assembly. They are given control of their own personal security team, provided by the state's presidential guards. The member is also eligible to live in a special private residence provided by the state for free. The only person who holds the title is Tarquin Sol. Honor, it's me. Yes, Cool Dude is Honor. If anyone's seen Mr. Irish, Cool Dude is Honor from our previous streams and sessions. So the only Member of Honor is Tarquin Sol. Oh, we could become a Member of Honor. Member of Honor rights Tarquin Sol. Member of Honor has absolute immunity and is considered to be a permanent member of the Grand National Assembly. They are given control of their own personal security team, provided by the state's forever. Remove the immunity. I think we'll remove the immunity. Because it's like, if he's done bad stuff, we will throw the book at him, to be honest. But we have options. We can abolish it, which I think will really kick him off. Every president becomes a Member of Honour after service. That's just a bit cheeky. Remove the immunity of the Member of Honour. Or are we sure about our decisions? This is it. Whoa, let's do it. After I made the final change to the proposal, I showed it to my team. They read the change and discussed it among themselves. Lucian spoke afterwards. Looks like the amendments already be proposed. But I have to say this too. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept. Our guys are not too fond of that idea. That's true. It will be tough to get all of their support. Some of our members may try to openly fight against this. I'm prepared to reconsider if it comes to that. We will do our best to make it work, sir. Any other comments before we proceed? I will say that I do not agree with the new law that gives the Assembly the power to impeach the judges of the Supreme Court. I also against the Chief Justice and his obstructionist behaviour, but even if we get rid of all of them, the new judges will be less independent from with this law. They will be scared to go against the administration when it's needed. They will need their protection to do their job, otherwise the new ones will be pawns just like, oh shit. Well, it's more important that we get rid of the old guards, Miss Morgana. After the obstacles are gone, we can strive to make it better. However, he turned to me. We have to be careful, Anton. I'm sure you will be fine, but with all that's happening out there, we need to be prepared against those threats one way or the other. I appreciate the feedback, Peter. Well, I think we can proceed now. I'll personally work on the wordings of this proposal with my hand-picked legal experts. With Miss Morgana's reputation as the most experienced attorney, this proposal will be bulletproof. Chief Justice also will have a hard time convincing others to oppose it. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. You will need to get them to back us if we want to pass the Assembly. So I advise you first talk to leaders of both the Conservative and Reformist wings of the party. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Clavin supports the reforms already. Miss Tory will be the real problem. She became the real heavyweight after we left the executive. Advice regarding to dealing with them? As Mr. Vecturn said, Mr. Clavin will probably be easier to persuade. We need to unite the party under this, so support is vital. Ms. Gloria will be tougher to break. The problem is that she's capable of turning the moderates and the Conservatives against us. As much as I don't want to say this, if she makes demands to change the proposal, you may need to give in. Understood. What's she doing? You see her? Right there? Just sat on top of the settee. It's a cute cat. I love her. Wish you good luck with the party, sir. I think we can end the meeting here. We've all shook hands and they left the room. Current proposals. Okay. What are you doing? Are you attacking your tail? Are you a crazy cat? That is a crazy cat. Crazy cat, I say. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing really well today. Thank you all for being here. Legends. News. Richard's victory over rain. Using energy and us. Preparations underway for the annual Benfi Festival. Okay. Read the report. Vice President Vecton reported that along with Lucian Gallade, the committee has started working on the written aspects of the package as per needs outlined previously. They'll soon get to legal teams. They need 156 signatures for it to be done. we're done with that part of the law. I think there's going to be multiple occasions where we do that. So it's like, now we're doing the law, and then we do other parts, and then we do other bits, and then we do other bits. It's crazy how it goes. The green has been proposed by the Assembly, aiming to encourage a more sustainable approach to the industry in Greenie. Act 1 of the Act would impose stricter regulations on the industrial pollution and waste disposal, particularly in the Greenie region. Businesses not complying with these new standards may face hefty fines, the revenue from which would be invested back in environment recovery projects. Oh, of course, drink water. Sorry, I still need to make an actual pop-up, but I feel like because it's any point ones, I feel like you can redeem, since you can redeem them for free, I think they're going to redeem a lot, so I don't really want a lot of pop-ups on that front. Section 2 proposes offer tax breaks, businesses that can demonstrate a significant reduction in their environmental impact over a period of time. A small investment fund to create for eco-friendly business practices. Oh, I used to pay for a lot. Sure, it feels like it'll be good in the future, good in the long run. We need to make money though. We need to make money because we're on 2 at the moment, which isn't great. Dinner with business council members. Meaning the Energy Protection Act of 1932. Leap in the dark. Victory for the environment. Okay. What are you doing? Can you see her? What are you doing? Am I in the way now? No, I'm in the way more. Oh, let me turn this. I know you can't see her at all. Oh, you can now. What are you doing over there, little cat? I love her. She's so silly. She's such a silly Billy. She is such a silly Billy little cat. I love her so much. Right. Let's go to Latchaven first before we do any more on that. So this is a lot of us going to multiple places to try and negotiate things and then get on with stuff. We're in Latchaven to work with the Business Council to assess weaknesses in the economy. Simon organised dinner with the affluent economic figureheads of Swordland. When we arrived, the streets were bursting with activity, even though the atmosphere in the country was tense. Latchaveners didn't seem very worried. Together with Walter Tusk, Edith Agnock, Mikhail Avon, and Simon Hull, we entered the renowned Asteria restaurant by the coast. A short blonde man whose embroidered pocket-red manager greeted us and waved his arms in excitement as he told us how pleased he was to have us in his establishment. Beaming with pride, he led us to a private room and got us seated at the largest table, covered for the occasion with a maroon tablecloth. We were quickly served by a group of servers. Walter spoke as they started taking our orders. I recommend the Latchaven salmon, President. You have to taste this local delicacy here, the best in Swordland. Is this the guy that tried to bribe us earlier in the game? I'm pretty sure it is. What Latchaven salmon? Swordish bean stew, Laspian pasta. Oh, pasta does sound really good. I'll have the salmon. He's recommended it. Given salmon for main course, the servers took their notes and asked for the second dish. Rice, salad, order no more. Sort of rice. Servers placed glasses in front of each of us and served bread and water. After they were done taking the orders, they quickly left us alone in the private room. Mr. President, I didn't have the possibility to thank you for coming today. Your presence means a great deal. Indeed, sir, it's an honour to dine with you. It's great to be here with the members of the Business Council. We should thank Simon for organising this meeting. No need for that, I hope everyone enjoys the evening. Simon gestured at the expensive-looking red wine bottle that was one of the servers had just brought to the table. Mr. President? That looks amazing. Well, it tastes even better. Best of Lesbia at the Chateau de Falenso in 1934. Simon poured some wine in my glass and waited for me to taste it before filling it up. I took a sip. It was bitter. Honestly, it tasted like any other wine. How is it? Is the taste to your liking? Tastes like... What? No. Maybe it's the gooseberries? It's definitely not occasion, Mr. President. Simon filled up my glass. Tastes like... I should have picked Tastes Like Heaven. I turned everybody's glasses. Simon stood and raised his glass. I'd like to raise a toast to all of you here. I don't drink expensive wines in real life, let alone in game. We're meeting here tonight in difficult times, but I believe that with hard work, cooperation and trust, we'll get through this period as well. I'd like to thank Mr. Rain again for his decisiveness when it comes to economic policies. I'm sure we'll stop this recession. I'd also like to thank Mr. Tusk for being here with us today. His presence is an honour. And of course, my colleague from the Business Council, Miss Agnock and Mr. Arvin. Without you, none of these would have been possible. I should have done Taste Like Heaven. Let us drink to future cooperation and growth. For a prosperous Swordland. Everyone raises their glasses and toasted each other. A couple more minutes to servers arrive with our meals. Ah, fair enough. What do you know? Honor. The food tasted amazing. Walter was right. This place must have been the best food in all of Latchhaven. So how do you find the food of the best fine dining restaurant in Latchhaven, Mr. President? Latchhaven? I'm not sure. Well, it's not Latch, it's Lackhaven. Lackhaven? Well, it's Lackhaven, I'm not sure. Not a big fan of fancy food, but I submit this is very tasty. Fine food is a fine art, but this particular one is a masterpiece. I know exactly what you mean. Art is something else. It embodies so much about us in the world surrounding us. And food There's art in everything. The art of making money, food, wine, and love. How are things going with you in the Marine Palace? The pressure must have increased after you attended that funeral. The pressure was already high. Not much has changed. It did, but it was the right decision. It's good to say the future is looking good. It was tough, but our work on the new constitution continues. It did, but it was the right decision. Of course, I don't mean to critique your decision. As we conversed with Mikhail, I heard Walter raise his voice in an apparent argument with Edith and Simon. We both stopped to listen. Arcadia knows the right way of doing business. Their approach to the world is real and raw. I prefer that cutthroat approach in comparison to the niceties. Well, I mean, it's a very nice country to visit too. I've travelled there often in business trips. Their attitude on all countries are nice to visit if you have the cash. I don't like that they keep cutting off Edith. Money does turn the world around. Travel is the least you can buy with it. Certainly not all. Exactly. How do people spend or do not much cash to spend? I'm going to stay silent for now. Kel joined in. Certainly depends on what you're looking for. Cultural tourism doesn't require a fancy hotel. Last time I went somewhere for that sort of thing was at the university, and even when we had our wild times thanks to Conrad's connected entourage. Also, Roy's taking us down the rabbit hole again. By the way, I saw the construction of the highway has already started. I hope my concerns about the company, but I hope they do a good job. I expect that the projects will bring new investments from Magnolia. The mood is already becoming positive. I have to congratulate Mr. Rain for starting such a massive project. Thank you for support, Mr. Arvin. No need to thank me, Mr. Arvin. Stay as a student's job. Hope the investment returns were good. Thank you for support, Mr. Arvin. Of course. Mr. Hole also deserves credit, of course, our great economy minister. Is there a joke coming? Well, I thought you said you were the great economy. He laughed. I've heard that you bought a new villa, Simon. I don't comment on rumours, but I'll make an exception since we're among friends. It's true. We do need to set up a trade union. You're doing a great job, so you deserve it. A new villa is a bit much, especially in this economic. Where is the property? Oh, where's the property? A small seaside villa at the outskirts of Conriat. It's just a modest house with a swimming pool and a small golf course in the property. Great city to buy real estate in. Conriat has seen a new surge of investment coming into Mosul Coronti. Ah, we know it. Modesty being sarcastic with me. Great city to buy real estate in. Conriat has a surge of investments. Underhaul Construction made a fortune constructing houses there. Where there is demand, there is supply. The markets rule supreme as always. Edith, who was sitting to my left, gently put her hands over my arm for a few seconds. Come on, let's not talk about finance and politics now. We came here to relax. She turned to Walter and Simon. Isn't that right, gentlemen? They nodded at her and took a sip from their drinks. She slightly leaned towards me. So, Mr. Rain, why don't you tell us what is behind the strong character of yours? I've heard that you were brought up in the capital and experienced all the power shifts as it happened. Is that right? It must have been tough. Through my left behind me, focused on today, it was a difficult time in the past, at times in the capital, but I've learned a lot about politics. We didn't suffer much thanks to my family, who didn't have much, but we were stable. That's very humble of you. I never met your family, Mr. President. How are they doing, if you don't mind me asking? We don't talk much since I became president. It can happen. Sometimes works get in the way, but don't let it stress over yourself. Family is everything. My advice would be to make sure that Frank has a solid relationship with you. He's your future, after all. He's a good father. He wants to be somewhat introverted. If you're going through the teenage period, it's difficult to connect with him. He's still a little shy. The kid can handle himself and doesn't need anyone. Why do you even care? He's going through the teenager period. Wish that was my son's biggest problem. Darren seemed to be doing fine. I saw that his yacht party in Benfrey made the local news. Well, that rascal didn't even ask for permission to use the yacht, and just took it. He basically stole it. Good news is I finally convinced him to go to university. He'll study economics in Lackhaven Business School. That's a good choice. Having a degree in Swordland separates you from the rabble. and we especially need more people who understand economics. Maybe your son would be a great future economist. I wouldn't count on that. But I agree that we all need more economists to enter politics. Thankfully, we have a president who seems to be as well versed in economics as Alfonso. He turned to me. I'm very confident in your abilities to fix our recession. Look what he calls studying doesn't get you to the finish line. Alfonso was an inspiration for all reformists. We're in this mess because of his politicals. Thank you. I don't want to comment on that. That feels like it's going down a rabbit hole. I hope we can repair the damage to our economy. We can't fail like Alfonso did. A correction. It wasn't his policies that destroyed him. It was the old guard. So I think the angle they're going at, we do need more businessmen, but I think they're going down like an oligarchical, like loads of money in the country, but it's all within very small groups. Sorry. But I want to make it a bit more spread between the people. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. And I'm sure we'll get there. What do you mean? I've always had a gut feeling about his sudden fall, of course. I've always had a gut feeling about his sudden fall. Of course it was there too big a threat. I believe that too. He threatened our economic power base over the country through a vast privatisation plan. They removed him and backed you after. Well, to stop with this conspiracy theories, I think we've had enough drinks. Everyone went quiet. After a long silence followed by some chit-chat, Walter rolled with a bottle of whiskey. This one is a good-looking bottle. The waiters brought one of the finest Caucasian whiskies. It was time for a toast. I stood up to give the toast. Virtual and beneficial future to our wealth and success to equal sight without class differences. And Morgana West Core. Aye. Nobody else responded. Simon looked like he had a little too much alcohol. There was an awkward silence as they looked at each other with glasses in their hands. Beck turned to Star. I think it's time we call it a night. Edith stood up. Most of us were already all a little tipsy by this point. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for joining us, and you, Simon, for putting all this together. Thank you for all being here. Thank you, Edith, for joining with a bunch of ugly rich men. That's definitely not me. The President of Jokes. Thanks for being here. After bidding our farewells, we slowly walked out of the restaurant. The moon was shining bright as everyone except Walter left in their luxury cars. President, a moment alone, please. He called me inside a small VIP lounge. Ignore him and leave, follow him. What do you want? Usually the Lothberg spokesman doesn't directly comment on the administration, but I'd like to say a few things this special evening. I'm all ears. Finally, a president that listens to the people. It won't be easy to pass the new constitution through the Assembly and the Supreme Court. We could help you get it through, if you help return with a few economic requests. Walter lit his cigar and took a few drags before continuing. Consensus is that we see eye to eye in the economic direction you've taken by promoting a free market economy. I'm glad the group is supportive. I'm interested to collaborate further in our shared interests. I'm glad the group is supportive. There are many members who put their trust in you. Walter smiled. He looked me in the eye. You rejected our previous discreet offer to pick underhaul construction for the executive of the first mega infrastructure project. The action led to disappointment in the group. We were aware of the upcoming tax meeting and it would be a step in the right direction if private corporations would get a tax cut. To boost the economy with job creation, of course, and the positive side effects would be to support to the administration through the entire system. I'm not promising a tax cut. Or not tax decisions objectively, I can't promise you anything. I'll make tax decisions objectively, can't promise you anything. But let's not be hasty. The recession will end if Lothberg is on your side, Mr. President. Why can't we all just be friends? Well, maybe we can. I'll see what we can do. Making no promises, but we're getting them on side, because I think Lothberg's another country. The group wants a private corporate tax cut and privatisation in healthcare and education. That's not happening. I have to reject. That's a shame. I did offer you a peace branch. There was an awkward silence. Either way, President, we are here and always ready to work with you if you change your mind. Don't forget that. I don't want to completely burn my bridges with him, but I'll say it like, I entered the car and we drove to our residence in Lockhaven, searched to the seaside route. Time's going on, economy's still not looking great. Bill on the rights of workers being drafted. President meets with business council. Mobile mine disaster, 112 dead. Haven League of Women march. Our aim is to help women out, because in this city, things aren't great. There's been a car bomb, not great. School poison connected to bluish woman. Oh, that's the two main things. Whole sword, meeting of the Energy Protection Act of 1932. Oh no, you can, yeah, oh no, you can absolutely get murdered. So if we annoy enough people, they will try and assassinate us. We can get voted out though, as well, if we annoy enough political parties. Like, I've made a law which says I can actually get voted out. Because I'm trying to keep it more fair. I could be an absolute dictator and just be like, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. I have absolute power, my decisions, but the people won't be happy with that. They can rebel. So I'm trying to be the good guy, if there ever is such a term. That's what we're hoping for. As the morning sun streamed through the window of the presidential office, an imminent meeting loomed on my agenda. In the quarter of an hour, I was set to discuss the Energy Protection Acts of 1932 with Ministers Graf, Holl and Wishy. This is what... So basically, I limit the amount of energy that can be sold to other nations, to a part of it that can be owned. So 20% is the current limit. The recent abrogation in the Grand National Assembly, coupled with ongoing dialogues with Gazprom, has only served to amplify the discourse surrounding the legislation. I was sipping my morning coffee and enjoying a quiet moment of solitude when David arrived characteristically early. Very good morning to you, Mr. President. I trust I'm not imposing by arriving ahead of schedule. See you in a little bit, Honor? Not all, David. On the contrary, we've now got an extra few minutes to strategize before the meeting. I'm relieved to hear that, Anton. I depart earlier for my appointments nowadays, as the stairs of the capital have become more of a challenge than I would like to admit. Something to be ashamed of, David. Would you like coffee or tea? March of time, the Marine District and Minister's building to disperse in a very artificial way. No wonder it takes longer. Nothing to be ashamed of. Would you like some coffee or tea? Read my tea today as per my doctor's advice. She suggests chamomile in the morning and sage tea in the evenings for optimal health. Listening to the doctor does bring out me some comfort. It feels as though my throat has been refreshed thanks to her. His gaze drifted, locking onto something beyond the window. A colossal zeppelin traversed the sky above the Marine District. For a fleeting moment, it blotted out the sun before gently veering to the left, letting light flood into the office once more. I still remember the first airships in Swordland. We purchased them from Quinal after the war, during the birth of what Sol called the Second Republic. Our infrastructure lay in ruins, and those zeppelins offered a much-needed lifeline, a chance to traverse and rebuild. And then, thanks to our research council's diligent efforts, we started manufacturing our own in Gelsord. Fascinating to think how much we depend on foreign help after the war. We've come such a long way since then. Much of Zeppelins and Gelsord's a truly turning point. We rely too heavily on Zeppelins for our transportation needs. Perhaps we should have invested more in rebuilding our roads and railways. Manufacturing the Zeppelins was truly a turning point. You're quite right. It symbolises our resilience, our determination to regain our footing. It was a beacon of hope, signaling the revival of our battered industry. Our reliance on others was temporary, a stepping stone towards the self-sufficiency we achieved with the National Autarky Plan. Even though it had downsides, I still consider it a success. Pause fell over the room. David's gaze landed on the portrait of Tarquin Sol hanging in the presidential office. His eyes lingered on the stern face of the old leader. A sigh escaped his lips. Now when I think of the EPA, my mind is carried back to the formative years of the post-Civil War in Holsword in the 1930s. The debates, the passion, the potential for transformation. It was a time of renewed optimism. It's our duty now to learn from the past and strive for a better future. What applied back then won't apply now. Assuming the energy protection was so crucial at the time, we have safeguard our energy section from foreign interference, suspicion, contest, of war. Life in Holsword back was tough. Electricity, blackouts, ruined infrastructure, unemployment, gangs. It was a challenging period, yes, but we preserved together as a nation. I did not agree with all the measures enacted by the technocratic government of the era, but some were undeniably effective. In the end, it took a collective effort to release our nation's fragmented pieces. I'm sure you remember those dark days yourself. I know you were just a student at their University of Culture, witnessing what true oppression was like. It's a difficult period, but I was reminded of challenges I wish to see in Swordland. Change I wish to see in Swordland. The minorities of this nation have suffered particularly. David turned towards the large, framed portrait of his father, Artur Sanako Wishy, hanging on the wall, painted with rich, warm hues. He captured the first president of Swordland in his prime. A spark of determination gleamed in his eyes, and his mouth was set in a gentle, firm smile, reflection of his belief in a better future for our country. Father's legacy still looms large. Has it influenced your own views? Still wouldn't be what it is today without your father, Arthur S. Wishy. It's a shame that such an influential man died under such tragic circumstances. Sutherland wouldn't be what it is today without your father. Yes, my father's leadership laid the foundation for Sutherland we know. His policies were aimed at building a secular and democratic state where every citizen's rights are protected. He believed in Sutherland that was a modern and forward-looking. Everything he did was aimed at the fostering progress, even his controversial embrace of foreign ideologies. He looked at the portrait with a mix of pride and sadness. In a way, Tarquin Sol did carry on my father's legacy. Under his leadership, we transitioned from a military government to a civilian one, and experienced our first multi-party elections. Over time, he drifted away from the ideals of reform and progression that my father held so dear. His visionary zeal succumbed to the most pragmatic, more conservative, and sometimes even regressive dictates of political survival. Perhaps history would take a different course if the Islam incident hadn't happened. In retrospect, an early resignation might have been beneficial. He ingrained tradition seemed to have done more harm than good. Keep listening. I think keep listening. Sometimes you don't need to interrupt someone. Just let them speak. Alfonso, for all his flaws, did seek to set the nation back on a path of progression with his focus on a free market and economic liberalisation. His EPA amendments, for example, were a severe departure from Sol's national autarky plan. But many praise the way it opened the doors for unprecedented foreign investment in our energy economy. The NAP was Can we stay silent for the entire game? The NAP was a cornerstone for our post-war economy. I wonder what we could have done more with it. First, it was the state education cause, then the SEC bills, and then blah 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 blah. They say around also door to corruption. Do you think the EPA will still hold relevance today, or that was a complete overhaul? The EPA has its roots in a different era. With some of its principles may still hold, we may not shy away from revising it in light of our current needs and challenges. Just as the conversation hit a pause, the door swung open and another minister's arrived. Simon Hull entered first with a confident stride. Good morning, Mr. President. David, I trust the discussion is progressing well. Lilius followed closely behind. She was walking in with an air of calm authority, her gaze sweeping across the room. Gentlemen, I hope I'm not interrupting anything crucial. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all here. We have some important discussions on the agenda today, particularly concerning the Energy Protection Act. Thank you all, David. I appreciate the urgency. Let's get right to it. Indeed, it's a critical issue we need to address. I look forward to hearing everyone's perspectives. Indeed. Today, we have some of the opportunity to share the economic strategies of Swordsland for decades to come. The EPA has long stood as a key contention and debate point of the National Autarky Plan. This matter is a discussion of how Swordsland sees itself and how we position ourselves in the world. Our nation has taken very different economic approaches in the last 4 decades. Mr. President has decided to lean on promoting a market economy, which should give us a clear indicator. Even if we manage to stabilise our economy, loosening the EPA regulations could still be beneficial. By creating an attractive environment for foreign investors, we can assure that Swordsland is not merely surviving but thriving in the long term. Promoting a market economy does not inherently translate to prosperity for all. It can lead to a concentration of wealth, which the rich getting richer while the middle and working class struggle. We need to ensure that the benefits of economic growth are shared equitably across all layers of Swedish society. I couldn't agree more. The welfare of our citizens should be our primary concern. I believe free market will foster competition, which will lead to innovation and economic growth. Your perspective provides valuable insight and support, and we consider all potential outcomes. So sounds really yes, I must disagree. No, I agree completely with this. Let's make sure the people who are serving actually get to see some of that money. And let's see eye to eye on this. Eye to eye on this matter, Mr. President. Our welfare as a whole depends on that of the least fortunate among us. Yeah, I'm butchering half my words today. Goodness. Right. Bleh, 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 bleh. Mr. President, Lilius, shall we return to the subject of the EPA? Our current version of the Energy Protection Act dates back to 1949. President Alfonso's amendments raised the cap on foreign investment in Swedish energy companies up to 20%. In my view, it's a necessary step to attract foreign investment and stimulate the economy. We must remember that Swordsland was facing an economic crisis during its tenure. This change would provide a lifeline for our energy industries. Sign desperation rather than strategic move, but did the increased foreign ownership actually lead to substantial economic growth? I must confess, when changes to the energy production were implemented, I have serious reservations. Share your view. Sol's policy was choking the growth of Swedish energy business. I think, did it actually lead to economic growth? While the increase in foreign ownership alone didn't lead to drastic upturn in economic growth, it did have a positive effect. It facilitated foreign investment and provided our industries with much needed capital. The effect of such policy changes often take time to fully manifest, but they lay the groundwork for future economic development. The Assembly has spoken on this matter, and as it stands, the Energy Act of 1932 will not be repealed. It's clear that our colleagues have recognised the potential risks of exposing our energy sector for foreign ownership. While this does end the debate, it does underline the importance of respecting our Assembly's decision. Don't only respect the Assembly's decision, I wholeheartedly support it. It's a fair point, Elias. We must respect the decision of our own Assembly, even if it doesn't align with our own views. The decision has been made, but that doesn't mean we will stop advocating for what we believe is right for Swordland. I respect the decision of the Assembly leaders. However, we mustn't allow this setback to deter us from exploring our options. The global landscape is ever evolving and we must adapt accordingly. It is also important to remember that the Assembly's decision is not the final word. There is room for further legislative efforts and executive initiatives. When it comes to the Energy Protection Act, I believe we should increase our threshold for foreign investment. In fact, my preference would be to remove the threshold entirely. This would undoubtedly strengthen energy institutions such as Gazprom and Swedish Petroleum. We've seen Russia's interest in the former, and I know Lesbia has its eyes on the latter for some time. This is precisely what I'm worried about. We have to remember that we're dealing with national security as well as economics. Reverting to the Sol era 10% limit or keeping the law as it would be a safer approach. We cannot risk our energy infrastructure fall into foreign hands, especially not to Rumberg. I see merit in both your arguments. Yes, we need to protect our national security, but we also need to consider the economic implications. Perhaps a mixed approach would work best. Even if we increase the limit to 49%, thereby attracting foreign investment while maintaining Swedish control of critical energy sectors? Considering potential foreign buyers such as Canal Rizia and Raka, Nuremberg and Lesbia, what are the worst case scenarios if they gain control over our hydroelectric, gas and oil sectors? Impact the cooperation like gas on with this entirety and advised laws. Lee, she mentioned national security risk. Could you elaborate further on that? Or actually mention that. Oh, good. Look, let's do this one. Think about it, Mr. President. If any of those countries, especially Rumba, gain control of our energy sectors, they could cut off our power at any moment. We would also be forced to comply with any decisions they made regarding prices or environmental measures. There's no denying the potential risk of foreign buyers gaining control of critical sectors. If we increase the foreign ownership threshold to 49%, we can attract more investments while mitigating those risks. While we may see entities from Quinar, Rizia, and Raka, Rumberg, or Lesbia as potential threats, it's also crucial to see them as potential partners. I'm thinking of the 49%er that's being presented by Mr. Wishy. I think that would be good. We still remain control with our 51%, but 49% is investment. So it's one of those where we can really bring in the foreign trade, but we also still have final say over everything. The scenarios Elias mentioned are possible, of course, but think about the economic growth and international relations that could be fostered. If we aim to deal more closely with Lesbia, for example, I very much doubt they'll settle for a mere 49% in energy investment. How would this happen? Gazprom. I believe you already know the answer to this, Mr. President. Gazprom could fall under foreign control, just like any other energy corporation. On the other hand, foreign investment would result in increased resource flowing into Gazprom and its ilk. Those resources could be channeled into further development of our energy sector. Yes, Gazprom could potentially sell to anyone, but wouldn't it be a show of strength and attractiveness of our energy sector on a global stage? Security risks, let's have a look at those. The national security risks are significant. Foreign entities could use their stake in our energy sector as leverage in diplomatic or economic negotiations. National security risks are always a concern when discussing foreign ownership. That's why it's crucial to have thorough vetting and monitoring processes in place. Don't forget about the importance of economic security. In a globalized world, economic strength can be just as critical as military might. But yes, it's essential to maintain strict oversight and regulations to ensure national interests aren't compromised. How do energy prices change in Swordland? With increased foreign investment, we could potentially see a decrease in energy prices, but we should also consider a potential impact on job security and national control of our energy sector. Changes in the Energy Protection Act could lead to increased energy prices as foreign entities could manipulate the market. With increased competition and foreign investments, we could also see a decrease in energy prices. The more players in the market, the more competitive the prices will be. Proceed, it's time to settle the subject. Given the turbulent economic landscape, maintaining the status quo of the EPA could offer us stability. We are already open to foreign investment at a 20% threshold. Changing this percentage may introduce unexpected challenges and could complicate our foreign relations. I firmly believe in the sovereignty and strength of our nation. Turning the threshold to 10% as it was during the Sol era could protect us from undue foreign influence and ensure that our energy sector remains in Swedish hands. While I maintain that increasing foreign investment could significantly stimulate our economy, An increase to 49% could be a balanced compromise, signaling to the world that Swordland is open to business while retaining majority control of our assets. But some potential partners, particularly ATO countries, might regard it even as insufficient. Welcome back, Honor. We're just deciding right now, energy companies. We currently have a global national cap of 20% of our energy sector being owned by foreign businesses. Now, we're in a position now where we're about to make a decision. I'm thinking of raising it to 49% that they can buy. We still have 51%. We have majority of the ownership. That's what I'm thinking. We must consider the far-reaching implications of our actions, especially in light of our recent dealings with Gasol. Mr. President, your decision to pursue co-investment with Rizia allows us to distribute the financial burden and mitigate risks. It also promotes regional cooperation, aligning well with our fiscal policies. Joint venture with Rizia is a strategic move, not a concession. It's a partnership that secures our place in the global energy landscape. Partnership with Rizia is a commitment to regional cooperation. It's a primary move that will benefit both nations. Rizia might not be this partner given our history with them, but we see the balanced approach. I think this one. Beneficial for both nations. Simon meticulously adjusted his glasses. With Swordland and Rizia co-investing in Gasom, there's a chance to build a partnership that benefits both our economies. However, how we adjust the EPA could significantly impact the outcome. Sharing the burden with Rizia does provide some reassurance. However, if we raise the foreign ownership threshold, we may be wary of influence of Rumberg. A partner with Rizia has proven beneficial. I suggest we maintain the current threshold. Let's not be hasty in decisions. Perhaps we should consider removing the threshold altogether. No. Elias, we can't ignore pension. I'm not going to remove it at all. My points are valid, Elias. We can't ignore the potential economic benefits. Raising the threshold could attract more investors and increase the value of our shares. I understand the potential economic benefits, but we can't compromise our sovereignty for profits. Increasing the threshold might attract more foreign investors and increase the value of our stake, but of course we should ensure that Swordland's interests are safeguarded. Opting for a more balanced approach aligns with all of our objectives of maintaining positive trade relations without compromising our sovereignty. To consider the long-term impact. Foreign investment might bring immediate financial gains, but we're losing our control of the energy sector. We should be more aggressive in a certain foreign trade investment after all firm economies. The EPA has a safeguard on national interest, but we must also be open to change. We need to carefully weigh the benefits and drawbacks. I think that's solid. Our choices aren't just about numbers, they hold significant implications for people of Swordland. We must make decisions with them in mind. I think that's the better, actually. Approach we balance the need of economic growth, maintain national sovereignty. I think this one. Swordland's people. I would say we've covered the implications of your EPA decisions fairly thoroughly, Mr. President. Our actions should be guided by the best interests of our nation. Mr. President, it is a time to put a decision. What would you like to do with the EPA? I'm going to do 49%. If there was an option for like maybe 30, 40%, I'd do that. But I think 49% will be the best way to go. There are a lot of choices, so we can remove it completely, then we can get bought out. Now, with a nation that doesn't like us, like Rumberg, I would never do that. 20%, I don't think it will work anymore, because obviously we need to encourage people to join us. I think 49% is where it's at, and that's what I'm going to commit to if you're with me on that. Honor, and anyone else who's watching, I think 49% is the way to go. What's your say? Let's go! Yeah, 49%. Oh. Oh. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 49%. Boom. Balanced approach will serve as well. It's done. It's done, Honor. We've made the decision. This could attract significant foreign investment. Substantial increase. I feel we open ourselves too much. Door open to room. Livia Suno, carrying a tray laden with assortment of beverages. She was a little clumsy as she manoeuvred around the room, refilling cups and glasses with tea, coffee, and water. Excuse me, gentlemen and madam. I've brought refreshments. We need to ask her to be more considerate and ask before you enter next time. Just a water for me, Livia, thanks. I won't be rude to her. Tell him, Mr. President, here's your water. As she finished serving the beverages, Livia retreated towards the door. She glanced around the room one last time before backing out. The meeting resumes, our conversation growing slightly louder over the clink of cups and glasses. Yeah, literally. I think we've made a good decision there. I think we've made a good decision. I'm thinking if we went all out, that means Rumberg could really mess us up. If they decide to invade us, they could cut off our electricity, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Whereas 49%, we still maintain control, so we'll be fine. While we're here, I would inform you all that I've been leading my expertise to Minister Benewal in relation to the Workers' Rights Bill. I believe it's crucial to ensure fair treatment of our workforce, and it's nearing presentation. Your collaboration with Benewal is commendable. I hope it will bring a positive change for our workforce. Workers' rights are important, but we need to ensure that bill doesn't shoot. Yeah. I'll big up Mr. Issue. I believe in this guy. Thank you, Mr. President. The bill aims to prioritise workers' well-being as a step towards a more humane economic system. I share your sentiments, Mr. President. However, we must be careful to avoid encouraging anti-business tendencies. I concur, Mr. President. Ensuring the rights of our workers is paramount, although we must be cautious of any hidden agendas. Anyway, I've been working on an upcoming term budget meeting and have a proposal for business taxation changes. Specifically, we're considering a range of 10% tax changes for small to medium enterprises and large corporations. This could be a significant move for the economic landscape. Such a taxation approach could indeed invigorate the economy, but we need to ensure it doesn't burden our SMEs unduly. Be careful with large changes to taxation, there could be unintended consequences. Very satisfied that we're executing bold changes under this administration. Your caution is well placed, Mr. President. As a proponent of global trade and economic cooperation, I too believe we should be cautious about imposing excessive taxes on businesses. In light of the economic challenges we face, increasing taxation could provide much needed revenue to support crucial public services and social welfare programs. As the ministers rose from their seats, the late morning light spilled into the room from the ornate windows. It seems to signal the conclusion of the meeting. Our work is our legacy. Let's remember one that Swordsland can be proud of. Thank you for your insights and collaboration today. Have a great afternoon. Our unity is our strength. Let's continue. Our important decisions. Let's rapid reconvene later. Let's make sure it's one that Swordsland can be proud of. Thank you for your discussion. I will continue working our priorities. Goodbye, everyone. See you at the term budget meeting. Until next time, dear colleagues, take care and see you soon. Again, I think we're making a better nation here. I truly do. EPA increase, a risky endeavour, a risky move. We increase pathway to economic prosperity. We're going to see. I want to see this go up. Up, I say. Overview. This. Energy protection of 49%. Instrument and Groomy. What's it saying? It doesn't really say anything. Yeah, it's not telling me if I've got good ones or not. But hey, we're helping people. We've got tourism booming. We're going to look good soon enough. I know it. I know it. Current proposal. I wonder if we change this later on. Workers' rights now need to be read and chosen properly. Yeah, we'll make sure everything is chosen does perfectly. We're gonna help our workers 100%. I'm gonna make sure the workers get the most support possible. Before you got here, Honor, I know you might have been here. We've already agreed with Gaston at the beginning of this session that they're gonna treat their workers better than they ever have, and we've made them agree to that for our investment. Otherwise, we're gonna pull out. So that's part of it. And discovery of new isms remains. Some incident. Oh, really? Determined the cause and circumstances of death. Italian's history. But, Mangers, Grooney region tour. New development. Bargain farmers seek support. Will help them. Agricultural growth potential. Yep. Untapped coal reserves. I love coal fuel. Tasty. Budget allocation of the government of Swordland. Uh-oh, we've only got 2. Let's get into debt. The preparations of the government budget were finished. Most of the cabinet gathered in the White Room for an important occasion. Nearly half a year has passed since my inauguration. The cabinet looked overworked. Oh my god, everyone's here. I'd like to use the opportunity for a statement. Now, the moment we've been waiting for, is finally time to discuss the government budget. Welcome everyone, great to see you. Hello, Mr. President. Sadly, Peter Vectern, Gus Manger, and David Wishu won't be attending this meeting. They are working on the upcoming trade agreements with Welland and Magnolia. May the Lord be with them. Kiara gave a barely disguised eye roll. Which one's Kiara? Did you just roll your eyes at me, young lady? If I did, it's because religion has no place in the government budget meeting. As merely expressing my wishes for a successful trade deal. Freedom of expression must be protected at all costs, must it not, Miss Mogner? Actually, in this case, I agree with Miss Walder. Kiara flashes her an appreciative smile. According to Sutherland's laws regulating the separation of church and state, she broke off as she noticed that Simon, Lucian, and Iseth were looking at the 3 female ministers in stony silence. Ladies, let's leave the extraneous chit-chat for afternoon tea. Don't comment. Refrain from making a comment. Simon started loudly shuffling some documents around. All eyes turned to the Minister of Economy. Let's begin, Mr. Hull. Thanks to Simon's expertise, I'm sure we will achieve lots of great things today. Thank you for your compliment. They... Oh, if you insist, I'll drink some water. Today is a big day. We must prioritise our spending wisely in order to achieve the goals we've set as a government. While maintaining enough political support, if I may add, promises were made during the election. There are three options regarding the budgeting of the four main branches of the government. It's either we increase, maintain, or decrease the funding. Increasing will result in an improvement of the branch, which will unlock new policy options. Maintaining it will keep the funding, resulting in no visible change. Decreasing will cause a loss of efficiency in the branch. We rely on the private sector to support us. Moving away from big government is the right choice. The problem isn't about money spent, it's how efficiently we spend it. As I'm aware, we can actually go into debt. Not a lot of debt, but I think we can. We can rely on the private sector to support us. I'm sure we can do that to a certain extent in some branches like education and health. Our universal healthcare system must be protected and not be tainted by private greed or interest. We need to consider when making such a grand choices have ripple effect. We have to be careful as we fund, as to what we fund, so we have resources remaining for another investment project. Most critical branches. We have to keep true to our election promises. Our people voted us because of the proposals we made. It does. It does indeed. There is a lot of talking with this game since it is a very text-heavy game, and I am the text man. I am reading it all. Such we realistically can. If we failed at proving our economy, the promises didn't mean much in the big picture. Before we begin our discussion, there's one more thing that I want to voice my opinion on. As we manage the government budget, we can only go into debt to invest in different branches. However, under these circumstances, it would worsen the economic crisis if we push it too far. It's difficult for us to raise debt with the current unhealthy economy, but we can increase the amount of debt we can take as soon as the economy improves. We should spend as much as possible to achieve growth. A stimulating strategy could have a positive political effect of increasing support. Given the current state of the country, improving the economic situation is a political priority right now, more so than ever if we want to win the 58 election. This budget will also be applicable to our entire term. It is very critical that we plan correctly. Let's begin then. Which branch should we discuss first? Let's talk about healthcare. Our healthcare system is vast and provides free service to most of our citizens. However, the quality of our health service is far worse in low-income and rural areas. Therefore, I think we should receive more funding to address the disparity. I agree. I've recently begun an investigation into the healthcare in Nabal, and the numbers are not good. If we don't increase spending on health systems services, at least need to maintain it. Otherwise, we are putting lives at risk. If we just started a new analysis on what could happen if the pandemic struck Swordland, according to the results, if our healthcare facilities remain in the current state, the death toll would be unimaginable. We're not even talking about damage to the economy. It's a matter of life and death, Mr. President, and it should be treated as such. This is indeed worrying. We should try and fix whatever we can as the government. I'm not going to say, oh, no pandemics ever happen. What a day. I think we know. And this is indeed worrying. We should fix whatever we can as the government. Let's discuss law enforcement. I'd like to have an increase in funding. I'm thinking increase all of them, because if we go into two that, if we increase all of them by one cash each, then we go into two that, we should be able to float out of that eventually. I'd like to have an increase in the funding of law enforcement to increase the size of police force and raise salaries. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We go into a little bit of debt now, and we can cause that balance. You see our growth in the corner is still down. If we can cause that to go like whoop or whoop, it's up. At least up is up. We will grow our nation and gain many, many things from this. We have so many internal threats to tackle, and I'm already stretching my units far too thin with the limited resources allocated to me. Need to clear their throat. Law enforcement is clearly a high priority. However, I feel tackling internal corruption is far higher importance than increasing our police presence. Directing the funds to my department would solve the problem at its root. If corruption is still rampant, all the police in the world won't help us. We need a specialised anti-corruption police unit, which would create if the funds were directed to me. Ooh, I think an anti-corruption police unit would be really good. I think because obviously we've mentioned before that corruption is huge in our nation. We need to get the best of the best and create a unit which will remove the corruption. Also, you can't really see her off screen, but Dingbat is next to the Vault Boy head, sleeping. It's really cute. Really cute. She's just all like tucked up in my dressing gown. Very cute. I agree with Mr. Morgan. We should not reward a structure that is responsible for an ever-increasing number of human rights violations. Additionally, corruption is the reason our government inefficiencies needs to be tackled. The police are there to serve and protect people of Swordland disorder. That's exactly what we're doing. More funding will allow us to take care of our police forces is quite a simple choice given the current state of the country. Miscellaneous. Neo, we need a real solution for all problems like corruption. Others, please. Time. Something different with no current situation. I agree with Nero, honestly. That's fair. I hope you do okay through the storm, my friend. Thank you so much for joining on it. If you're ever interested in what happened after this, you can find me on YouTube, bud. You have an absolute good one. I wish you the best with the storm. Stay safe. Here are opinions on the military. Also, here, I've already voiced my opinions. Rumbug is coming whether we like it or not. If not this year, next year. If not next year, the year after that. Mr. President, you and I have shared responsibility to protect this nation from its enemies, and I intend to do so until my last breath. I'll say this with certainty. If Rumbug doesn't make a move against Swordland in 2 or 3 years, my name is not Iosif Lancia. This is beginning to lose control of the volume of his voice. There can be no argument against increasing the budget of our army when there is an enemy on our doorstep, waiting for us to make a move, one wrong move. Anyone who thinks that otherwise is a fool. Mr. Lancia? Right, pardon my theatrics, sir, but this is a serious matter. The future of our country is up to you, Mr. President. Well, here's the argument. The armed forces does nothing but eat away financial resources destined for our people while stoking fears of the upcoming war. The issue of Rumbo can be solved diplomatically. What kind of message are we sending to them and the whole world if we suddenly start ramping up our military budget? We are ready to defend our nation, Miss Walder. Exactly. I agree with Isef, to be honest. Real threat, we need to be ready. What about education? This is our main, this is what we agreed to increase, was actually our education. I'm going to make sure we pump that up. Our education system is lacking, not only in funding, but also in modern curricular principles. Our outdated curriculum is wasting our youth. That is the reason why I advocate 2 things. An increase of the budget to improve access to education in rural areas, and an educational reform. To be honest, Swordland is lacking compared to Arcadia and the United Contana when it comes to education levels. The backbone of any country and its people is its people, and we need to protect our future. We need to ensure that new generation is as well educated as their counterparts in more modern countries. Nonsense! Swordland is still here because of the very system that you insult. How can you insult a system that teaches our sons and daughters the principles of national identity and pride? We won't be compared to other countries. Swordland is Swordland. I agree with Lilius. Swordland is Swordland. I must also remind you that we promised that we were going to focus on education during our campaign. You're right, Lucian. We can't let people down. I made my mind up about the budget. We can proceed. Very good. Talking points from everyone. Well done. The time to make decisions to the budget has come. Consider it with care, Mr. President. Simon placed a stack of papers on my table. I turned the first page. Oh, wow. This isn't like taking 1 or 2. It's actually taking loads. Wow. Okay, that's not great. Healthcare, we need to increase. Law and order. Increase. Maintain. I think maintain law and order. Education, we need to increase. And military, I want to increase, but that is a lot of debt. What is an unsafe amount of debt in this game? Alright, just quickly Google it. I think... but then, what are the other... Let's look at this. We're increasing healthcare. We're maintaining... No. Here's the thought. Here's the thought. I kind of did Google it. -7 is a safe zone. We're like, -7 isn't great, but it's not going to collapse us. I'm going to maintain law and order. For now. We just need a... that new committee. Increase education because what we agreed. Increase military. Unless we don't increase military and increase law and order. I think military will be a good one to increase. No one's going to get reduced though. I don't think that's good. I'm happy with my decision as president. I may come to regret this, but I will make the charge. Let's do this. Am I sure? So increase healthcare, maintain law and order, increase education, increase military. I finished allocating the government budget. Satisfactory with the cabinet members and dismay of others. Day and I knew this would define a significant part of our term. We have a deficit on our hands. We need to resort to debt to finance future investments. The situation can be adverse effects if we don't strike a balance. Agreed. Well then, let's start with law enforcement. Lilius leans forward and put her hand on her chin. Neil's looking down at the floor. I suppose we'll have to make do with what we have. This is not the best situation for us. Not sure we'll do that if the budget doesn't change. Any statements on the matter, sir? I trust you to push the Ministry of Interior Justice forward. We have Westwing and Roman administration will be on the side of law and justice. Ah, I might have made a wrong decision here. So I was eager to comment. The increase of funding is very welcome. We can finally go after some comprehensive improvements by our new school buildings and education system. I should have really... I'm regretting my decisions already. If only I saved money and didn't invest in things. Surely a well-funded and larger Ministry of Education would benefit everyone. Our future depends on our children. Education is the first step in the fight against ignorance. There's a clear future and we will not be sidelined. Our focus is in the clear. Well, thank you. It's great to see a positive change in the attitude of the administration for the first time in a decade. The military is next. Bureaucracy wasn't finished but didn't interject. ISIF chimed in. It is an honour to serve with a president that respects the military. Trust me, with these funds, our armed forces will be better than ever. Lucian seemed as if he was about to say something, but looked down at his notepad when ISIF not hiding. The military is on top of priority list and always will be. With your talent and experience, you will overcome the issues our military face. With support you've provided, I'll protect this country from any threat. ISIF leaned back in his chair. Let's hear from Mr. Benoit. See, I was hoping it would only be like one each and we could get into -2, -3 debt in the worst case, but that is a lot of debt. I didn't expect to go that deep. Thank you, sir. This health budget increase will help me to focus on improvements. Our people will now be safer than ever. I'm also planning to tackle issues with lack of rural hospitals and the recently worrying numbers of maternal deaths. Welfare must attain a priority for our term. There's no other way around it. Healthcare is very important for us. As we move forward, it will improve drastically. It feels invigorating to have the weight of the government behind my cause. That covers all branches. Each minister will approach you with their respective policy requests and expectations over the next year. Thank you for your time and participation in this significant moment. The meeting is concluded. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time and effort. Don't forget we're a team. The ministers bid their fellows, some excitedly, others dejectedly. The cabinet slowly dispersed out of the White Room. The budget for our term was concluded. I mean, we're not corruptible, which is the important part, so we'll be good. Can I take my money and give it back to the state? Government budget. 18 hours of negotiation. Government term. Funded Ministry of Education to the smaller ministries and sold the budget growth expected. One of them was actually to increase the issue Ministry of Defense, the largest increase ever. We're going to be good. It's a continue time. Read the report. I've been able to get in total 87 signatures behind the proposal. Efforts are on the way to increase the support and reach out to necessary members. Only 87 so far is not great. Continue. And time marches on. Chapter 2, A New Swordland. Ooh! Ooh, we're in Chapter 2, finally! And Chapter 1 is finished. Our growth is still even. Still even. Okay, we can live with that. An unusual encounter. Former President Sol's open hospitality. 54-55, season ends. FC Gelsword claims the league title again. Football! I was thinking there's 4. Vargslandia Navy forces Agnolia drill ship to retreat from Helgim Island. That's not good. Prime Minister Alvarez of Lesbia visits Pales, offers support amid tensions with Rizia. Arcadia fires the M4 ICBM. Oh, where? Island bases. And United Continental Congress addressed the State of the Union of a voluntary expansion. Current proposals. I'm up to change. I'm open to change. Regional, anything change? Oh, things are changing. Read the report. Magnolia offshore drilling near Hedgie increases tensions. Unidentified objects spotted close to Quinali border. Memphis region. Airport overcrowded. Massive network of BFF priests discovered. Central bank releases strong budget. Deficit warning. Yeah, knew that. Military equipment outdated. Answers of our border access to military defense capable of Rumbug attack. The results show that our military equipment is outdated, needs replacing as soon as possible. The continuation of worrying reports show that in the event of an attack, our border will be broken through easily. Even primary regions disorder and exposed. Education in rural regions require improvements. Cool. Gone through our news. Let's head back to City Workers' Rights Act. We will help them. Section 1 of this bill said, oh, please don't tell me I need to spend money on this. No! Oh, is this going to put us really badly in the red? Uh-oh, I might have made a mistake. I might have made a big mistake. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hmm. 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 Section 1 of this bill sets the groundwork for fair compensation by establishing a minimum wage of 2.5 Swedish rem per hour. This serves as a benchmark for fair and equal trade. 60-hour week work. 60-hour work week. Introduce the concept of double overtime pay. Worker safety. Sense protections to migrant and documented workers. Grant them the same rights as citizen employees who failed to abide by these rules. We'll do it. Debt. We see what happens. We'll see what happens. We had a minor date. It might not be good. Might not be good at all. The law and workers' rights. Excise workers' rights bill into law. Workers' rights bill signed. Okay, we need to make some money. Stat. Like, stat. I'm hoping some of our investments kind of come back on us and make us money. Budget allocation of law enforcement. Event an evening walk with Monica. Regional investment decision. Let's do budget allocation of law enforcement. I was in my office reading reports from the ministries about the current situation of the protests. My next scheduled meeting was about the law enforcement budget with Nia and Lilius. I heard some knocks on the door. Nia entered and took a seat in front of my desk. Lilius was absent. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Lilius will be late. Apparently there was an urgent matter at the Ministry of the Interior she had to attend. She shouldn't be long. Very well, let's wait. What urgent matter? She said something about supplies distribution for the police force. Nothing major. I returned to my report and Nia smoothed back an errant band of hair. There was an awkward silence. Well, while we wait, why don't we have a little chat? You might come off a little strange, but I'm proud of you. Despite everything, you're actually trying to reform the country. Just at the beginning, there's so much more to do. Flattery won't work on me. Yes, although there's a lot to do, the future looks promising. Thank you for that. We're giving you the hope better. Support gives me hope as well. Yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying this game so far. I know it's a lot of me talking, but I'm actually really enjoying this, and I like that I'm going to see these decisions bear fruit. I know we're in a ridiculous amount of debt, and I agree with that, but I think we'll actually be able to turn it around. The workers are getting treated way better. We have improved housing, we've improved healthcare, we've improved, like, Gasom coming in with, like, getting in foreign investment. We've done a lot. I know we put our nation into debt, but we're already in a crippling debt. If we don't grow out of it, what's going to happen? Nothing. So we'll see. How are you really holding up, Anton? Being the president, I mean. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it's also the best thing I've ever done in my life. Nothing I can't handle. It feels like the weight of the world crushes me down every single day. Hardest thing and best thing. Imagine so much responsibility and so much power at the same time. I want to assist you and the country as best as I can. Unfortunately, my hands are tied with the current budget allocation we have for new law enforcement. He barely finished his sentence before we heard a knock on the door. He almost jumped out of a chair. Lilius Garcia Glaff entered the room. Garcia? Where did I get from? Mr. President, Nia, I hope that I'm not interrupting your conversation. No, not at all. We're just discussing a few things. Nia smiled at Lilius. I'm sorry for being late. There was an important matter at the ministry. Security forces of Bergia are arbitrarily not cooperating with my department and created some minor annoyances. Fortunately, due to my limited authority of the special zone of Bergia, I cannot control their operations. Luckily, they didn't completely botch their tasks and actually uncovered a large network of priests that are recruiting Bergians for the Bluish Freedom Front. Good. Do you department miscommunications Government forces to minimum. We need to take the war against terror seriously. You were late. Sounds very significant. Keep this. Of course. Need to take CNST if she continues talking. Well then, let's get straight in. We provide a brief update on the situation of law enforcement. Go ahead. Nia? The Ministry of Justice Supreme Court is working in close collaboration with the Ministry of Interior to address the protests in our country. I must add that thanks to the hard work of our judiciary, the law enforcement forces assigned to my ministry are doing their jobs efficiently. I would call it a success of our forces on the ground, not due to the judicial branch of our government. They just shot Nia a brief with a glance. The current budget has dampened hopes of more funding in the force. Yet here we are, with mass protests happening in the country. We stand exactly where we were before. Decision needs to reflect the current situation of the country. This was certainly not the right decision. We are dealing with mass protests. Agreed, many in the Ministry of Justice hope for an increase, and we are not satisfied with the decision. Regardless, this means we will have to deal with the growing court backlog. It is manageable, but it will be a challenge for sure. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll manage. I've made a sacrifice. I had to make sacrifices for the good of Swordland. These sacrifices might have sounded well damaged the structural integrity of Swordland. That remains to be seen, but the ripples are already being felt across the country. I hope the decision is not the beginning of something bad. The brief moment of deliberation passed, Ladies and Nia got up from their seats. Well then, I must return to the ministry. Me too. They left the room. As soon as the door closed, I could hear their muffled voices as they argued. I really should have done. I really wanted an anti-corruption police force, but I didn't give them the money. But then who would I have taken it from? Probably the army is what I'm thinking. But then if the army's weak, we don't want the army going against us like the last prime minister, president. We're using schools for recruiting militants. Oh, great to hear. And even walk with Monica. It was early evening, still light out, with a faint nip in the air. Frank and his friends and Deanna was at an art class. Monica and I decided to go out for a walk before dinner. Our favourite place for a stroll was a nearby Capitol Park, where the largest green space in all the whole sword. Before the children were born, we spent many an evening engaged in deep conversation along the riverside promenade. Another favoured path would wound through the woods behind the presidential housing complex, to a private pond where the children could swim in summer. I was told that Son himself had built. Benefits of being president. Monica met me by the door. We put on our coats and hats. I was going to suggest we walk towards Sol Square, but the guards told me it's been closed for yet another protest. I wonder who they're protesting this time. What does it matter? The two sides of the same coin. Common foes are sure to be punished, yet more damn coming yet again. Two sides of the same coin. The Anton I knew in university never would have said that. Funny how becoming president changes one's perspective. In any case, where shall we go? I'm not sure Capitol Park is a wise idea in the climate either. Right, let's not security risk. Let's stay inside the gates. Nonsense, we have our guards. There's nothing to be afraid of. Let's go to Capitol Park. Alright, let's go, then, before the children get home. I informed the guards about our route and we left the house. The guards followed us with a black cadilla as we exited the gates. Walking briskly, we reached Capitol Park in minutes. As we entered the park, Monica broke silence. So, how was your day? How was yours? Avoiding my question, are we? Very well. I was fine. I caught up on some reading while the children were at school. As we reached the river, I saw Enos Krona, former Minister of Justice, walking in the opposite direction. I remembered that Nia Morgner used to be his vice minister. He gave us a quick nod of acknowledgement. Nia had once fought hard and strong against Sol's judiciary reforms, but after years of government blocking his every move, he gave up his ideals and became part of the administration. What did our ideals really mean if they could be changed so easily? What about the people we idolise? Evelyn also came round for tea. She says hi. She was feeling rather low though. Apparently she and Peter had a bit of a disagreement. Peter's in the doghouse again. How'd it happen? Apparently Peter had too much whiskey as usual and didn't behave when Evelyn's father was over for dinner yesterday. You know Peter, what do you think of this? That's Peter, perpetually pickled. I'll have a talk with him. Good. Evelyn seemed close to tears. We managed with a shrewd like her would make anyone turn to the bottom. Oh god, that's really rude. I'm only glad you and I don't have these kinds of quarrels. Monica didn't say anything. We kept walking. You know, Evelyn hasn't been the same since what happened to her at Whole Sword Post last year. You remember how she got fired for supporting Alfonso? Peter had everything to get her job back. They didn't work. A sad day for journalism and free speech in Swordland. Completely agree. A sad day indeed. Enough about the vet turns. I also spoke to Janice on the phone. Who? You remember my friend from university? We were in the Swordist literature class together? A few years younger than me. Red hair, scar on her forehead. We had dinner with her and her husband once or twice. Even the name or description rang a bell. I still don't remember her, but go on. Anyway, she's been working on executive assistant at the Violet Pictures film studio. So she became pregnant and asked her boss for paid maternity leave. And guess what? She was fired for it. Can't her husband provide for them? Look at it from the cost standpoint, obviously. After asking for maternity? That's terrible. I know, I was beyond myself when she told me. That's not all. They immediately replaced her with a younger, less experienced man. Son of an executive, no less. That's utterly ridiculous. It was a no. I wanted them all in one. That doesn't justify what they did to her. As it happens, another friend works for a television station that's hiring secretaries, so I connected two of them. That doesn't solve the deeper problem, though. Exactly, I knew you'd be on the same page. Women in this country are still seen as wives and mothers first, human beings second. They're harassed at work, underpaid, blocked from positions of power, and those are the lucky ones. The fact that there are still places in this country where little girls like Dina are denied the right to an education. Yes, and I will do what I can to change that. It just can't be you. It can't just be you. These little girls and the people like Janice need someone to speak on their behalf, a role model, a successful woman. We were right in front of one of the park benches that lined the river. Monica gestured to it and we sat down, which brings me to my point. I know that America Curtin Lest will be delivering a speech from the annual opening of Benfey Festival. My wish is to take his place and deliver the speech instead. Oh, Lest was one of Swordland's most influential politicians. He had started his career in Benfey before rising to power of Enrica. Benfey's current mayor had personally invited him to make the opening speech. Placing him with Monica would likely anger him. Probably not enough to cause a huge incident, but enough that he might use his influence over the Conservatives to block me in the Assembly. I want the base of the speech on women's rights in Swordland. I want to base the speech on women's rights in Swordland, on the oppression and discrimination we face every day on the basis of our sex alone. I want our voice heard, and this festival is the time to do it. I just need your blessing as my husband and the president of Swordland. Remember my time with the Swordland League of Women in University? You supported me then, I'm asking you to support me now. Monica's eyes were blazing with a fire that I hadn't seen since we were students. She wanted this badly. I had to be careful with my promise. My full support. Sure, it's just a speech. What's going to happen? Does it have to be at the festival? Why can't I make a speech another time? It has to be now. Thousands go to this festival and millions watch the speeches at home. Children's women can't wait any longer. Oh, do we just back our wife? Because the Conservatives can mess us up though. We don't have the seats. Oh no, not that one, was it? Connections, legislative. There we go, Conservatives. Oh, there's a lot of people we need support from. But then if we persuade either of them, we're doing alright. You have my full support. We'll always support our wife. This is why I love you. Thank you, Anton. You have no idea how much this means to me. To be fair, though, if we lose the support of him, half of our country probably is women that we can support. So, Monica beamed at me, her face flushed with excitement. One way or another, I want to contribute to this country, no matter what happens. We are not weak, Anton. We are only as strong as we stand by our ideals. This is why I've married her. This passion and resolve. I should have anticipated that sooner or later she would join me in the political arena. We rose from the bench and started making our way back home. Otherwise, we'll end up like Colonel Sol, Leonis Kroner, Edward Alfonso. So we were like with a relic of past and is frankly still one of the most idealistic people in Swordland. Yes, again. Leonis Kroner? Exactly. He backed down on his ideals and now everyone knows him for exactly he is. Actually is. At that moment, we passed Leonis Kroner again. He was on the nearby bench, taking a smoke break and to walk home. Monica plastered on a big smile and greeted him, then turned back to me. Spineless. If that was how people remembered Ionis, how would they remember me? Whenever he had done, whatever ideals he had lost, he must have had his reasons. Would they remember me as a true patriot, a reformer of the country? What would they write about me in the history books? Let's go back to the house for dinner. Of course, lead the way. Monica smiled. You know, I believe I will. When we arrived home, I called my secretary Olivia and asked her to inform Mr. Less that Monica would be making the speech in his stead. The sun began on to set over the horizon, bathing the clouds in shades of orange and pink. Let's support our wife! Uh-oh. Gazon resumes hiring. Local Energy Giant has resumed its hiring operation after several months of pause. The company has welcomed 100 new employees to its workforce, signalling a potential recovery phase after an extended hiring freeze. Latest additions ask us some looks to rejuvenate its operations and drive towards a more robust performance in the upcoming months. Nice. Violence in Swordland. Royal Emerald NGI's Gasom, a strategic move. Rizzy investment, a lifeline for Gasom. Explosion in Jer, 3 killed, 22 wounded. Detonation, Swordland is in a tough spot. Progress in Oteki plan boost. Swollen, condensed soldiers. Cool. There's the overview. But I see situations of change in economy. Increased employee cost. Okay. Consistent economy. There we go. We've got some positives. I want to see some green. Relieved welfare economy. Improved working conditions. Nationwide peaceful protest. Peaceful being the key word. Policies. Yeah. Yeah. Happy military personnel. So important. Because if they're not happy, we've already had this country go for a coup before we've taken over. Let's not repeat that. Let's read some reports. IBFF for bombs, police station, General Staff Command Administration, Rizzy Energy Alliance. Oh! Swordland. Lesbia condemns it. That's not great. Maritime borders, aspect these issues. Rizzy hails energy collaboration success. King Romus will be friends with you. Cool. Read the news. What's going on in our city? Regional investment decision. Oh, Jesus Christ, we're entering more debt. We don't need more debt. I need to cash out. I need money. I need money. Hello, money. Gus, -2 government budget. Gus Manger and Sycamore Hall have prepared an extensive regional investment package to revitalise one of the top economically fragile regions by boosting the municipality budgets, providing large sums of business grants and giving cheap loans to companies with liquidity problems. Proposal can be implemented in one of the following regions: Bergia, Lauren, and Angland. They all need it, but none of them will get it because we can't go into 10 debt. I think 8 is really pushing it. We're not going to invest for now. I think people will freak out because they know we're doing our best for our nation, but we have no money, essentially. Uh-oh, construction issues. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this for the next part. I'm going to end the YouTube video here now, but thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing evening, or morning, whenever you watch, and I hope to catch you again in the next part. President Lance, signing off. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.